Good morning, New Vision Center. I'm Leslie Goodwin, Reverend Leslie Goodwin. I'm your associate minister. And I don't remember what I thought this talk was going to be about 2 months ago when I wrote on the outline that the title of this talk was My Precious Self. I'm sure I had an amazing idea that absolutely I could not remember at the beginning of this week when I went to write this talk. So I got to feel into it. And what came up for me is there's this thing we talk about all the time here. And really, it's shimmering out like that word as a prayer into the greater consciousness that we are all made in the likeness and image of that which brought us forth, right? We're all made in the likeness and image of this one infinite reality that created us. And here at New Vision Center, we like to say that that means that we are all already whole, complete, and perfect, exactly as we are in our inherent nature. That everything we could ever need is already embedded into our beingness, just ready to be invited forth. And I say this, and not a single person in the whole room right now is going, what? This is new news. This is not new news, right? And yet, how deeply do we believe it? How deeply do we believe it? Because when we understand that to a complete depth of, down like the way Jennifer was singing that song, down below her toes and into the ground and rooted and pulling up from, the very essence of the earth itself and up into ourselves. When we believe it like that, we show up differently. We show up differently on the inside of ourselves and we show up differently on the outside of ourselves. Yes? And then we do, gosh, I wish I could do a moonwalk right now. Then we do the backslide. We're going to pretend like I'm a really good moonwalker. We do the backslide, right? And we catch ourselves maybe getting a little frustrated, maybe getting a little scared, maybe getting a little doubtful, maybe getting a lot doubtful. And it's always, to quote beloved Reverend Penny, who's a previous senior minister here, it's always a matter of faith. Or I would actually say it's a matter of truly understanding who we are, which is a lifelong job. I think we spend every day of our entire lives understanding it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more and getting to enjoy the fruits of that understanding. Because we resist it, right? Yes, I am one in the infinite oneness. I am one in the wholeness of God. And then there's, the little things that pipe up about, but isn't that a little greedy and a little selfish and a little thinking big of ourselves? Don't you just think you're fancy walking around thinking like you're God? That's a common insult in our culture. He thinks he's God's gift. Yeah. Good for him. He gets it. We resist it, and we play this game of I believe it, kinda. I believe it, mostly. I believe it, except when I don't. And so our theme this year is every path leads home. And for me, one of the definitions of home is a complete understanding at the core of my nature. I am only of God. I am only of God. There's nothing else to be made of. So I can't be God and some other stuff. And that all of God is available to me. Because, as I like to say, God is not pie. It's not you get a slice and you get a slice and you get a slice and I get my little slice of God and I better pace myself because if I eat all my God pie, then I will run out. We cannot run out. It's infinite. It's infinite. So if that's a home I'm trying to get to, we have all of these paths we can walk and so many more. These are ones that came up at the beginning of the year that we keep returning to. The ones we're going to focus in on today are self-acceptance and communion. Communion being coming together in conscious union with my spiritual truth, with the divinity within. when we lean into those, here's the question that I pose. How does our life change if we dig all the way in to this idea that I am God in human form? That all of God is available to me, and that there's nothing in me inherently blocking my way. How do we show up differently? Dramatic pause. One way that I see it showing up is through an expanded sense of peace. The things that can run our life are questions. Perhaps you've had some of these that have wandered through your mind at various times. What if I fail? What if it sucks? What if I lose? What if I can't do it? What if I don't know how? What if I choose wrong? What if I screw it up? What if I lose? What if they don't like me? What if I'm wrong? What if it's all wrong? What if everything is wrong? And when we get stuck in that, we freeze on the inside of ourselves. It causes us to be limited in what we think we can do and try, but more essentially, in this point, it closes us down on the inside. It steals our peace. When we spend all of our time seeking answers to those questions, we are always seeking out there. What if they don't like it? What if they're really all the same answer, or they're all the same question, right? What if I fail? What if they don't like how I did it? What if I lose? What if they don't like how I did it? What if I can't? What if they don't like how I'm going to do it? What if I'm bad at it? What if they don't like it? It's always about them, they, out there, them. I have a running joke with my best friend, Jen. A wise woman once said to her, "You're worried about what the other people think, Jen? Jennifer, look at the other people." Amit Ray, an author of, among other books, one of my favorites, Nonviolence, The Transformative Power. He wrote, "When you know the knower within, you don't need to know further. When you know the mediator within, you don't need to mediate further." Knowing that within us is already the wisdom of the divine leads us to stop seeking the answers out there and the validation out there and the people out there to tell us that we're on the right track. And it leads us to turn within, to that, we love to call it the still small voice. Sometimes it's the loud, bossy voice within. But only if we really are leaning into this idea, feeling into this idea of God as the voice within, as that one infinite reality, as the voice within, are we able to prioritize the voice within over the opinions of everybody else. The song said, "Make it up as you go." That's all we're all really doing. We're pretending like there's a plan. What number of plan are you on now? I think I'm on my fourth career at least. Second marriage. We all go through what we think is the answer over and over, and it shifts and it changes, and we shift and we change. And what if that's good? What if that's literally walking out God creativity as ourselves, and we can trust it, and we can believe that it is inherently right for us? What if? How different does that feel on the inside? That voice, people will ask me, "But Reverend Leslie," I can hear you. You're thinking it really powerfully at me right now. But Reverend Leslie, how do I know if it's that voice and not my ego or my fear speaking? It's because that voice always tells you things like this. You are already enough. You are already doing enough. You are good. You already have what you need. You can rest. There's no need to hustle. There's no need to push. Work as the inspiration strikes, and then rest. There's a voice constantly telling you things like that on the inside of yourself. Are you listening? Are you listening? And are you obeying it? It will never be louder than the voices out here until we choose to turn it up and tune it out. I'm going to say that again because it's important. The inner voice will never be louder than the voices out there until we choose to turn it up and tune the rest out. It's a choice. It's a choice that's available to all of us every minute of every day. And it's a choice to prioritize that process. Once we have that expanded sense of peace, which grows over time, but once we've activated it, once we've turned up on the inside, turned down on the outside, a question often arises that is something like this. But Reverend Leslie, if I listen to that voice that tells me I can rest and relax, what if I just never do anything again? What if I become a professional napper? Golden. Write that down. But the truth is, we are all creative beings. As part of being that divine walking itself out, we're inherently creative beings, and it is the nature of the universe to want to create, right? We see it in, oh my gosh, try to stop mint from growing somewhere in your garden you don't want it to grow. It is not a thing that can be done. I pulled a mint plant out 8 years ago in my backyard. There is mint everywhere. The universe lives to create. It is inherently creative. We don't need to push ourselves to hustle harder. That which is ours to do shows up for us naturally. And when we are well rested and doing our self-care and following that still small voice, we have the energy to follow the creative impetus when it comes. But we can bump into one more thing along the way there, and that is, here comes the voice again from the outside. I'm being told to create this thing. What if I create it wrong? What if they don't like it? Oh, how is this back? We turned it down in the last step. Oh, it's so like humans. Have a thought pop up again, isn't it? Like the mint in my garden, it just shows up again. What if? Oh no, I'm afraid. The fear is lowercase r real. It exists. We feel it, right? It shows up as doubt, as concern, as not willing to take the next step, as feeling frozen, as feeling stuck. And it often shows up as, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know. We do know. We just aren't comfortable with what we know. We all know. It's like the people that say, I need a sign. You have 57 signs, you just don't like what they say. We're already whole, complete, and perfect. We already know what we want. There's one little thing that can sneak in there. Once we get past the fear a little bit, there's one little thing that can sneak in there and get in our way. And it's this idea that I'm whole, complete, and perfect. I don't have to do anything. I don't even have to be nice. I don't have to shift my behavior or be more kind and loving. I don't have to do anything. Reverend Karen told me like 3 weeks in a row, I'm whole, complete, and perfect. I heard it. So I don't have to look at my behavior at all, right? I was talking with Rhonda before service about this, and she about cracked me up when she busted into a version of our current closing song by singing, I am a brat, I am a brat in this world. Cracked me up. Ever catch yourself kind of feeling that way? It's okay, I don't expect you to raise your hand. I've had the thought, and I've heard people say it about Science of Mind, about New Vision Center, and about religious science, that the thing with religious science is you don't even have to be a good person. Needle scratch on the record. No, that is not what it says. It says you are already inherently a good person. Inherently, keyword, meaning it's seeded into you to be good, kind, loving, generous, powerful, creative. It's already in you, but we have to walk it out. We have to walk it out. Being afraid gets in the way of walking it out. Being afraid keeps us stuck in our rant. Do you have an inner rant? I have an inner rant. It shows up sometimes. The author Julia Woodman said, if you know who you are, then your ego feels safe instead of fearful and is more open to exploration. If you know who you are, the rah feels safe enough to right? Like a crabby toddler who skipped their nap. We have to sing them the lullaby of you are already enough, to calm it down on the inside of ourselves enough that the truth of us can shine brighter. The film director, Kevin Smith, recently spent some time in inpatient mental health care, and he's talking about it a lot, which I think is amazing. You might know him. He is the creator of movies like Dogma, Clerks, Mallrats. And he is a profound atheist and would disagree with 98% of what I'm saying right now. But I'm going to talk about him anyway because what he had to say so fit this message. He was talking about this idea that when you're stuck in what you think in your human brain, you're stuck. The way he put it was this. He said, most of our thoughts are negative because we mostly think negatively about ourselves. And when that's what we think of ourselves and our thoughts are negative, what shows up? Negativity everywhere. Negativity in our lives, negativity in our relationships. And we don't need somebody to be traumatizing us if we are constantly traumatizing ourselves on the inside of ourselves. Right? Anybody ever lived that? Yep. Yeah. So we need to know who we are to be not even willing, able, capable of opening up, to seeing ourselves differently, to walking in the world differently. Knowing the truth of who we are, whether you see it from a completely secular point of view of there's this one infinite reality of the universe that is somehow grows plants and there are birds and we have a planet and it's all happening and I'm in it, so cool. Or all the way to God, Heavenly Father Almighty, the most absolute traditional version and every version of it in between. It doesn't really matter where you land. There's goodness here. We are of it. We have the option to let everything else go and just be that. Oh, that is so delightful. So my own precious self, as I lean into this idea of peace and let myself know the truth of me, know the knower within, and my own precious self, as I lean into the courage of knowing who I am and believing I can let the rest go. Notice all of that happened on the inside, right? How might my precious self walk into relationship or community differently from that perspective? When we are in the place of fear and stress and doubt and questioning and claiming and scraping and hustling and hoarding and keeping what is mine and keeping the wrong people away and trying to force the right people to be here and trying to figure out what right and wrong even mean, I am so distracted from the point of life. If the point of life, which I posit, is to love myself and others absolutely with my whole heart and soul, I'm not doing any of that when I'm stuck in the other things. So I would say that the third and final thing that I'm going to talk about today that we get out of knowing who we really are is an expanded ability to lean into loving kindness. We just show up differently at work, in relationships, in this community, in any community, in the grocery store line, in traffic, with our mother, our siblings, right? Ernest Holmes said it this way: we reach God in others by reaching out from God within the self. Always God in others will respond to the God in us, but never beyond the level of our own inward spiritual awareness. We cannot get what we will not give, and we cannot understand what we don't make space for ourselves to know and truly embody. This is not new news. This is the law of attraction. We all watched The Secret in 1992, right? The energy we put out is the energy that comes back. If we want to be in a world of loving kindness, we have to be loving kindness. If we want to be in a world that is peaceful, we have to be peaceful. If we want to live in a world where it is impossible for somebody to say, put down your gun, but then they go shoot that whole family, if we want to live in a world where that cannot happen, we need to be the person that somebody can come to with anything that hurts our feelings or impacts our complete freedom to do whatever the heck we want to do in any given moment, and respond with compassion and understanding. We have to choose to be people who do that every time, and who notice when we didn't do that every time to work on being better at it the next time. This is how we manifest a world that changes. Telling someone you can't do that never works. Wouldn't it be neat if it did? But it just doesn't. Telling somebody you need to be nicer, you need to be more respectful, you need to be more peaceful, you need to work on your nonviolent communication. We can use all the right words and phrases and books and classes. We can do it all absolutely picture perfect according to the standard of the world. But the only way we actually impact people is by showing up differently. How many of us have had people ask us, after telling us, oh, we're in a cult, or this is really woo-woo, or what is this strange place you go to? After we've been here for a while and we start really changing, they start going, now what are you doing? Now where are you going? Because you seem happy now, and I'm confused. When I was getting divorced, my now ex-husband said he was absolutely adamant that he would never come here. And mid-divorce, he did the thing that people do where they decide, I want to get back together. And he was like, I'll even go to your weird church. It seems nice. It is nice. And, he never actually came, but he was willing to consider it because he could see that I was changing in ways that he could recognize are good. We inherently change when we decide to. We can't have what we won't accept, but when we accept it, we can have it everywhere. Everywhere. Oh, it's so good. So Here's the conclusion. If you didn't get it, I think you probably got it, but I'll tell you again in case you didn't get it. You are of God. You are only of God. And the more you believe that, the better life gets. And so your call to action. You know, in ministerial school, they tell us never end a talk without a call to action. Here's your call to action. Go live it. Go live it. In every possible, conceivable way. Go live being God and watch it get amazing. And so it is. Let's anchor that in some prayer. Oh, how good it is just knowing that there is this one power, this one presence. We call it the one infinite reality, the all good, the juicy joy that is life itself. It has created everything and everyone out of its own substance and built that goodness into every single being alive. Oh, it is so good. It is overflowing with wholeness and wisdom, abundance and joy, loving kindness, courage, and the peace that passes all understanding. And what I know for myself is I am that. I am that, and I am only that. The allness of life itself is available to me, and all I need to do is receive it and trust it and be it. That's it. It's already mine. Grace has already been given. And it's true of everyone within the sound of my voice. Each and every one of us is whole, complete, and perfect in our essence. Everything we think we need is already built into us. It is so good to know it. And so I speak my word for each beloved here, online, within the sound of my voice, in this moment and in perpetuity, that the goodness of the divine is with us now, that abundance is pouring down in our lives in every possible way, that wholeness is revealing itself as truer health, more complete vibrancy, goodness in every aspect of our being, that every cell knows exactly what it's supposed to do and is doing it brilliantly and beautifully every moment. I know love is the truth of our being, and love is showing up in our lives. Joy, effervescent joy, that every quality of the divine is expressing as us right here, right now. I'm so grateful for this truth. I'm so grateful for the changes it brings in our world. I am so grateful for the good. And so I release this word into the action of universal law, and I call it good, good, and very, very good. We let spirit do the job, we let it do the work, and let it go as we say together, and so it is.